To our breaking news story now, the Ekurhuleni Mayor Nkosindiphile Xhakaza has reshuffled his mayoral committee after ActionSA and the EFF declined to join his administration. The three newly appointed MMCs are all members of the African National Congress. Xhakaza appointed Ntsizwa Mehwe as MMC for Human Settlements, Siyabonga Matthews Moloi as MMC for Community Services, and Doram Lambo as the MMC for Economic Infrastructure and Development. Now, he had initially appointed ActionSA's Xolani Khumalo as MMC for Community Safety, but the appointment was rejected by the party leader, Herman Mashaba. He has since removed Bridget Tusi as MMC for Community Services and Hopello Hullo as MMC for Human Settlements, both whom are members of the EFF. Xhakaza says the new appointments are aimed at accelerating service delivery. Economic Freedom Fighters Gauteng Provincial Chairperson Nkululeko Dunga joins us now for reaction. Nkululeko, just give us your reaction to the latest development, given that you are from that particular municipality.
No, thank you very much for having us, and greetings to the viewers of Newzroom Afrika. Look, we are obviously not surprised at this point because I think the mayor has shown to be extremely rational and be able to just take decisions that are ill-informed. And we draw reference to the fact that they are ill-informed on the basis that you would have now had to reconstitute council for the election of another speaker following the election of a speaker just of recently, and this just comes at a time where we've got the adjustment budget, and on the eve of council, we are supposed to have a council sitting tomorrow. And with the announcement of having made the current speaker now to be an MMC means that the position of the speaker is vacant, and therefore we cannot constitute council tomorrow because we've got a vacancy in the speaker's position. So we're in a crisis, we're in limbo as a result of someone who is arrogant with borrowed power, someone who is extremely manipulative, playing some underhanded tactic using the state to advance a particular agenda that we are not aware of at this particular moment.
Yeah, you've previously cited the water portfolio restructuring as a breaking point. Talk to us. Do you still have that same view that this was the breaking point between, the mayor as well as the EFF?
Well, it's not limited to the Department of Water. It has been long coming since the removal of the EFF, particularly in the Department of Finance. We sort of tried to create a stable environment of continuity in the government, with the hope that sanity would prevail, which did not. And ultimately, the regressing of the decision to allocate the position of the speaker to the EFF, which was abruptly taken by the ANC after they fielded their own candidate. And following that was then the removal of a further two members of the mayoral committee and the restructuring, ill-informed once more, on the portfolios of governance in the city of Ekurhuleni. And all of that combined, has led us to believe that we cannot form part of a government that is instituted by Dr. Xhakaza because he's extremely confused, he's extremely irrational, does not use any form of performance radar or key performance indicators to determine as to where he would best be suitable to place certain individuals. Because some of the best performing members of the mayoral committee were from the EFF, by the way. Not only water, but community services, human settlement, as well as waste and the stabilizing, particularly, of waste services amidst all of the challenges that that particular department was faced with. He then went on to introduce new people who have no understanding theoretically and practically, particularly in the departments of service trade, which is water, energy, and electricity. He went on to reshuffle someone who did terribly in energy and replace and put that particular person in a dysfunctional department called community safety, So it's just an exercise of ANC patronage into governance. And we're now playing right into the factions and the political battles of the ANC. As hence, when you look at the composition of the current members of the mayoral committee that you would have introduced outside of the speaker, is just his way of reasserting and reaffirming himself within the corridors of the ANC, and it's got nothing to do with a practical and fully functioning and effective government. He's just trying to amass some level of influence within the ANC that he, by the way, lost the confidence of by trying to incorporate all sectional camps to side with him.
Yeah, Xhakaza had offered the EFF the portfolio of human settlements, but that was rejected, and you said you would gracefully occupy the opposition benches. Talk to us and remind our viewers why.
It's simple. You cannot regress on the decisions that would have made to establish the current co-governance principles. And you do that in your own little corner, you do that in your arrogant space and want to impose that particular view on us. We don't have a firm belief that the separation of utilities from operations and maintenance is a wise decision, and particularly a decision that can be taken outside of council. So a lot of the decisions that were taken in terms of the formulation of the portfolios constitute being extremely unlawful on the basis that you have done a lot of separation of particular departments and have taken functions away from certain departments and put them somewhere else, which has created instability within the municipality in itself. Never mind the fact that you would have introduced people with little to no experience at all, such as Jean, into the space of the executive. So the EFF gracefully declined on the basis that there was an elimination of the EFF in itself. And we cannot accept to be extremely disrespected like that by the ANC or by anyone on the assumption that we need to take some level of power and accept being just put on the table of power and authority. We are a political organization that has amassed serious influence in society and voters. The ANC might not appreciate that, but our voters are looking to us to explain to them as to why would we want to reduce ourselves as the EFF at the expense of a dwindling ANC, just on the basis that we are looking for forming part of governance. We cannot be led by Xhakaza at this point, more especially when he commands a majority from his own political organization, because that's an erosion of the executive in itself. We did extremely well when we were 4 or 5 within the mayoral committee, and were able to advance a particular discourse and give guidance. And once you eliminate the giving of that guidance and the influence in that space, you are rendering us ineffective.
All right, thank you very much. Nkululeko Dunga is the Gauteng provincial chairperson of the Economic Freedom Fighters.